Hello everyone, it's Jazz. It's a new show called 5 Takeaways from Yesterday's Game. So this show going forward will usually be done the day after the game, and I will talk about 5 takeaways, 5 things that we can discuss, that we can engage from the game and kind of see what our feelings are. Put your comments down as usual. I will, as you know, I will put my feelings about these kind of things and what my thoughts are, and engage with you guys really. But then again, hope you enjoyed yesterday's win. Long time coming. Let's enjoy. I know there's still a lot of things up in the air, and most of you guys understandably still want David Moyes out. I mean I'm a little bit on that side as well, and there were still a lot of things that weren't quite right with the performance, certainly in the first half, and still a lot of things that need to be ironed out, improved on, because Nottingham Forest were probably one of the poorest teams that has come to London Stadium in a while. And if you look at some of the games that are coming up, like Brighton and Villa, of course those teams are going to be set up in a much better way, much individually basis, much better quality players and good managers. So the test will come, and then we'll find out in which direction we're heading, because obviously yesterday's game was a little bit like Everton, where the opposition didn't quite have anything up front, did they? Really, you kind of knew that they were trying a few things like diving in the penalty area and things like that, and had a few players that were quite good on the eye to watch, like Shelvey and Johnson was quite a nuisance. But you kind of felt that as the game progressed, we should have won, and we did win with our quality on the bench, on the pitch, as it showed in the second half, really. So anyway, let's get into the show. 5 takeaways. The first takeaway is an obvious one. After a long time, we have a striker, Danny Ings, a proper striker. And if you watch my shows regularly, it's what you pay for. It's what you pay for, and this is... And when you watch Danny Ings, and it's everything I used to say, the DNA of the striker. And even he said in his interview that one of the goals, he gambled. Before the ball went there, he read it, like from Bowen and kind of other people that were trying to set him up. And kind of Bowen did get one of these assists. He said he kind of knew where the ball's going to go. So he gambled. He went into that empty space, lost his marker. And then the rest of it, get any part of the body in front of the goal, guide it in. That's a prolific finisher for you. With Antonio, like I've said, his DNA is not of a striker, and what he does is he just stands next to the defenders. He never runs into space. He never gambles into space. He never can kind of predict, the first few seconds where the ball could go. Shall I quickly go at the far post, back post? There's none of that in Tony. And Tony just receives it with his back often to goal, and then he bullies and bulldozes away into space and that kind of thing. With Danny Ings, you put the deliveries in, more often than not, he's going to get on the end of them, right? And that is what a real DNA of a striker is. He knows how to finish by hook or crook, any part of his body. He knows how to do it. How to make those deft touches like Tony Cottee used to do and other strikers that we used to have. And there you go. That's kind of how the strikers repay all the money you spend on them. And even when you talk about money, he's only about 12 million plus add-ons, He's kind of 29, 30 at most. Got a good few years left in him. And I will go back to what I said. He is not injury prone. A lot of people got that thing about him. But when you look at the appearances he's made last 5 years, he's played many more games. I think there's one season he didn't miss anything. And he just missed a cluster few games here and there in the last 5 years, so long may that carry on. And Danny Ings has to be played, but I would still play him in a 1 of 2. We have to work out a way of playing 2 strikers up front, in my view. I think Scamacca, once he's fully fit, that's a great option for us. Whether that's going to be, I don't know, 4-4-2 system, maybe one behind the 2, something like that. But David Moyes, that's what he's paid for, and I would definitely explore that. I think more often than not it'll work out, and Danny will get even more goals. I think Danny, he's really had to work hard, outside the box, which I don't really want my strikers to do. I want them in and around and on the edge of the area. I don't want him on the halfway line tracking back, trying to win the ball, although that's good. But it's too much work for one person up front, especially the way Danny Ings is built. I think I'd like someone next to him, even someone like Scamacca. He can win the aerial battles, the headers, head it down to him, and Ings will be in there. Let's go back to 4-4-2, or certainly a system that that perhaps people are much more closer to him. And we saw shades of that yesterday, to be fair. I mean, my second point was going to be Souček. I mean, Souček is more visible on the eye in the right areas, which is up front. We've seen him as a CDM at the back. He just doesn't have any impact in the game. But as you saw him yesterday, to be fair, if anyone was close to Danny Ings more than anyone else, it was Souček. He was there, in the aerial duels, trying to get on the end of things, trying to make things happen. And long may that carry on. And Rice, like I kept telling you, he remained as a normal CDM. He was in front of our back four, and he stood there. He didn't really go over the halfway line a lot. And I think that's good. Even though Rice did score, but certainly in the first half, he didn't gamble a lot. He stayed at the back, make sure we were kind of solid, and give help to Oggy and all our back four, and that way in Haggard, really. But yeah, I think Souček. I mean, you remember that, Danny, the Dyche coaching thing. What he said was, I try to look at each player and see how I can get the best out of them, and what makes them happy. That's what football's about. Danny Ings is a striker, play him as a striker, ideally with a guy next to him or two up front, and then he'll be happy. Don't make him on the wing as one of the 4-2-3-1 wingers. Don't do none of that. And that's what it's all about. And Souček, back to normal, back to how he made his name with us, where he got those 10 goals in his first season or so. That's it. It's not rocket science. Stop forcing tactics down a players' throats which they're not happy with. They can't carry out the duty. It is a good bunch of players. I mean, another interesting point is have we lost a dressing room or not? It's very confusing, that, because if they did, all they had to do was lose the Everton game, you lose yesterday, and I think Moyes would have been out of a job. So for me, it is complicated for me. Usually, in years gone by, that's what the players would have done deliberately by hook or crook to get the manager out. They would have lost to Everton, they would have lost yesterday, and Moyes was gone, but they won. I don't really know what's going on in the dressing room, but we'll take it game by game. Let's get to the end of the season. Let's stay up by hook or crook. Hopefully win the conference. I don't know. I think we've got a really close, really good chance to win that. And then look for the long-term future, which for me still is not with David Moyes. We've got to look for a younger manager who's naturally more inclined to play attacking football. With Moyes, you're forcing him into a corner, aren't you, a little bit? That's why he's kind of playing like that and giving the players a little bit more license to kind of flourish and show their skill side of things, really. So I think that's the future. The other thing was obviously Areola. The third takeaway was Areola. I think he had a comfortable game. He looked commanding, not very easy to come in those kind of circumstances. And before I say that, I hope Fabianski is well. It's a very serious injury around the eye socket area, very delicate part of your eye. And obviously that's a very important, you want to bloody be able to see, So hopefully he recovers well, takes his time. But the future is with Areola. It has to be the money you're giving him. You've got to give him a chance, You can't just sitting on the bench paying what we do. And yeah. And the idea is get another young one in the summer, because I think Randolph's gone. So get another one in with them, Areola. And Fabianski, if he wants to hang around as number 3 as a coach, good guy to have around training ground, by all means, go ahead and do it, really. So that kind of the other thing. The fourth takeaway was Antonio. I kept banging on about it, that Antonio, he's useful as a sub, impact sub, and he's played on the wing. Very, very useful. The way he plays, the way his stamina is, he just hasn't got it in him to constantly make himself useful over 90 minutes, and he's proved that in the last 18 months. He's been dreadful. But yesterday, with the game sort of opening up, more spaces were being created as Forest to try to get back in the game, and he exploited that. He got a good goal, good header. And he used to play for Forest, so that's why he didn't celebrate too much. But yeah, that's the fourth kind of takeaway, that use Antonio as a substitute or as a winger to replace Bowen if you need to during a game. That's the only use I can see for Antonio. By all means, do not play him as a striker anymore. Absolutely had enough of that, really. The fifth takeaway was Uncle Cressy, Grandad Cresswell. I think you can all see that's the end. It's the end. He came on and he's absolutely dreadful. There's a couple of instances where I think the player Johnson went down the wing where Cressy should have been. Cressy was nowhere to be seen, and Rice had to sort of rush back and try to fill that gap in. And yeah, I mean, he came on because we were desperate for a goal, and he started to take the corners and free kicks and that kind of thing. I get that, but Cresswell's days are far, far gone. And I've just got to confirm, I think he's been given another year extension like Fabianski, which I don't agree with. So that confirmed the fifth takeaway for everyone, that Cresswell I think his career's over, certainly for West Ham United. He just hasn't got any legs in him. He can't defend. He can't carry players like that, you know. And that kind of again says that we've got to invest heavily in both the full-back areas, really. So those are my 5 key takeaways yesterday, everyone. Danny Ings, that's what a striker is. Play him as a striker. Try to push one more next to him and you'll get more out of him. Areola, let's give him a good run, and by hook or crook, by accident, it's happened. That's the reason. It's not nice of Fabianski, but Areola, hopefully David Moyes gives him a good run and good chance. And Souček, keep playing him in those areas up front where he's much more of a threat, he's much more comfortable, and he's got a few goals in him, really, and he's very good in the air. Let's carry on with that, and Rice becomes a normal CDM. 4th takeaway, Antonio, use him as a sub on the wing, impact player. That's going to work okay. And Cresswell, thank you very much for your service, but Mr. Cressy, the time is up. Age catches up with all of us, and it has with you, mate. So that's it. Take care. 5 takeaways. That was first show West Ham United 4, Nottingham Forest 0. So I hope you enjoyed this short and snappy format. Keep following the channel, keep subscribing. We're heading towards the 2,000 subs. Have a lovely Sunday, everyone. Take care.